Welcome to Let's Talk, hosted by David B Plemons, CPA Inc. Here, we will focus on the struggle, the juggle, and everyday hustle of small business. We will be here weekly talking to small business owners about their everyday struggles. We welcome your questions and comments, so feel free to email us at admin@plemonscpa.com. We hope you enjoy, and above all, we hope it helps.
Welcome back to our continued interview with Mr. Carlos Acosta of Lift Fund, discussing your capital funding needs. Because you guys were that foundation or that stepping stone to help them get from point A to point B. Because like you said, when they first start out, no bank wants to lend to a startup because of the high failure rate that has basically been proven over and over again. Most businesses fail within the first 5 years?
Yeah.
Okay, and no lender wants to take on that risk, especially if they're lending their stockholders, their stakeholders money.
Yeah.
So the third-party vendors that are able, like you and others, are able to support them at the beginning stages are excellent. And then to understand how capital funding works, and then to know that Lift Fund offers education. That's so critical, because those educational tools are just like when you go to school for the first time and you're learning how to write. A whole new world opens up for you. You learn how to add. A whole new world opens up for you.
Exactly.
And if you're serious about your business, then you will take what you learn and apply it. As we said earlier, some of those individuals realize, this is not for me right now, or either not for me at all. And that's what the education does, which is critical.
Yeah, and it is, and people realize that when they're going through it, right? When they come into the office, they're like, okay, I need funding, and then we're going through the process. It turns out, no, you need education on this end first, because it's going to work to your benefit later, right? When you're trying to access capital through any one of the Lift Fund loan programs. So business education paired with small business lending is great opportunities, right? If you're willing to take that risk and take that leap, right? Because being a small business owner that's what it is. It's a leap of faith, right? What faith? Well, that's up to you. You just jump.
Right, exactly. One of our guests talked about faith for her was jumping off the cliff and building the plane as she goes down. That's what it was.
Exactly,
okay.
Right?
Yes.
But where are the materials coming from?
Right?
So,
exactly.
And that's the education, right? Because when you're jumping, that's that leap, and the education is the materials that you're going to need to build, that plane, that glider on your way down, right? To soften the fall, or the landing, right? So, when you kind of pair those two together, it's great, and sometimes you realize, I'm in over my head.
Right, exactly.
And that's a success too.
True enough. So tell us just a little bit about some of the programs that the Lift Fund and Women Business Center offer in education. You talked about an accelerator. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so the Lift Fund's Women's Business Center offers a number of programs, right? Just to name a few, we have the Women's Business Accelerator, and this is a program that is designed, just for women who find themselves in this gray area where they have outgrown all of the startup resources that are available here in the city of San Antonio, and are not mature enough to take advantage of those more advanced accelerators, right? So the Women's Business Accelerator focuses on this group of women.
So it's that gap.
That gap, right? It's like, how do I get from point A to point B? Well, this is how, right? You take advantage of one of these programs. Now, this accelerator is about 8 to 9 weeks, and it takes these women through a number of workshops, if you would, right? One-on-one trainings through clinic kind of scenarios, and mentorship, where they're introduced to sales mentors, marketing mentors, and all of the advice that is given, or any information that is exchanged throughout this program is tailored to that participant's business. Right? So oftentimes we see people join accelerators thinking that they're going to get great information about how to take that knowledge and use it in their business, and then come to find out it's very general.
Okay.
Right, and it's like, oh, well, how does that fit with what I do, right?
Right.
You know, how can I do that? So we understood that when we created this program, and we said the best way to do this is to have a group of women, which, you know, we've come to find out that max 15 is a manageable number, right?
Okay.
And with these women, we have them turn in you know, any marketing material that they currently have. What channels are they using to raise awareness of their product or their service, right? And they turn it into the marketing mentor, right? And then the marketing mentor then reviews all of their marketing efforts, identifies, you know, where they can improve things, and then when they meet in the marketing sales or sales clinic, the mentor gives them advice that is specifically for their business, right? And it's not very general. So that's just a part of the program. And you know, we also have another workshop within this particular accelerator called the imposter syndrome, right?
Ooh.
You know, this is something that many business owners, or, you know, people in general, sometimes find themselves in this position where they start to think of themselves as an imposter. It's like, well, am I really doing this right? Because I know when I started, I was like, you know, here I am, this guy coming from logistics, and, you know, throwing myself into the entrepreneurship world more on the on the advisor side, and I was like, oh man, you know, tell me how to get, you know, this jet engine from Washington State to, you know, Dubai, right? Yeah. I got you. Right? Yeah. But, you know, all the struggles that businesses face, you know, that was a totally different story, right? So when I first started, I felt like an imposter.
Right. Because you had no experience.
I had no experience, right? And everything, the majority of the experience that I got was diving in, having amazing mentors that gave me that guidance, right? So the imposter syndrome workshop really focuses on that feeling and says that, you know, you're not an imposter, right? Because, you know, you've already been in operations for a few years, ideally, and you know, you're doing great work. You have clients, so you're obviously doing something right. And business owners need to hear that they're not imposters, right? So during that workshop, they're introduced to different techniques and things that they can do to kind of overcome that, and to get them to realize that you know what you're doing, right? You're not an imposter. You have to
change your mind. They have to have their minds changed. So that is phenomenal, because just listening to that program, what it offers, it seems like it gets them over that hump. Because sometimes it seems like, even whether they're women business owners or male business owners, they're always somewhere, there's a hump where they're stagnant. It's like, we want to grow, but we can't quite get over the hump, but we don't know how to get over it. I see where I want to go, but right now I'm kind of stuck. So how can I push myself or get to that next level? And usually most business owners are working in the business and not on the business.
Exactly, right?
And Accelerator helps.
Yeah, and oftentimes, you know, they realize that, hey, it's okay to ask for help. And this program, after a cohort goes through it, at the end, they're so grateful. They continue to attend, you know, our workshops and meet with the advisors on a one-on-one basis, because they see the value in not just the programs, but, you know, the one-on-one consultations themselves. Now we have another program too. Now this is called the Youth Entrepreneurship Program, or YEP. And this one, we took entrepreneurship and put it into the high school environment, right? Because I know when I was in high school, you know, there was I knew a great number of kids that had amazing skill sets and talents, right? And I was the kid that was selling, you know, candy out of my backpack. Right? I was like, hey, you know, I don't want to eat, you know, the boring lunch that they provide. I want to buy, you know, from you know, the good menu, right?
The good menu, not the line in the cafeteria menu.
So I was like, how do I make money to do that? Let me sell some things, right? And then it worked great for me, right? So so when we created the youth entrepreneurship program, we're like, well, kids, have these amazing skills and talents. How do we introduce them to this whole new world, right? So then we decided
That's legal.
That's legal.
That's
yes,
legal.
that's
Yes, legal.
right? So we started to kind of dive into this. We did some research, and and typically students after high school kind of go through the traditional routes, right? After they graduate, they go to college if they want to go, right? Or their parents force them.
Yeah.
Or they go to, or they automatically join the workforce, right? They go straight to work right out of high school, right? And nowadays this is getting increasingly more challenging, right? So, and then there's the other option: they join the military, right? So we figured, let's introduce them to this, right? Because maybe starting your own business is a viable option, and if we can get you early. And introduce you to all of these tools that you can do, that all these tools that you can use to really help you with that, then awesome, right?
Sure enough.
So,
because some parents aren't entrepreneurs, but their kids are. And the kids are like, okay, like you, I just want to make some money because I don't want to eat at the cafeteria. I want to eat the good stuff.
Yeah.
So what can I do? All of a sudden you're thinking, how can I make money? You sell candy. Somebody else made bow ties. Somebody else made lemonade.
Yeah.
But, those were all the ideas that kids had. So without them having some tools around them to help guide them, they're kind of like, okay, hit and miss. But if you can make that rocket or make that buckshot become more laser focused like a rifle, it's amazing how much of a difference it's going to make in their lives.
Yeah, exactly. So that's what we're aiming to do with this program, right? Or what we have done. We're in our fourth year.
Oh, wow.
And we have had some great successes with this, right, on many different levels. And this program is a 6-week program.
Okay.
We meet the students in the high school, right? So we basically have them for a period. It's think of it as an elective, right? So we walk them through the ideation phase, right? And say, and we teach them to kind of look at what they're good at, and which one of these skills, based off of what I want to do and what I want to open up a business in, which skill set lends itself to any one of these ideas that I have in mind, right? And then we take that ideation phase and we narrow it down, and they pick a specific business, right, or a concept. And then we go through the validation phase, right? Or we start doing research, and we introduce them to tools that they can use to test their assumptions. And after a lot of research, and if they feel comfortable with it, then we move on to the pitch portion of the program, where they've done all the research, they have all the information in their head. Now you got to be able to express
articulate it.
Yes, right, to a room of people, right?
Right.
Sometimes if you're going to be going through any one of these, not necessarily lending, but if you're going to be accessing capital, guess what? You got to talk about your business, right? So especially if you're going to be working with investors, you got to be able to pitch them, right? So this program helps them refine their pitches. This is also the elimination portion, right? So we start off with about 20, 30 students, and then they start to develop their ideas. Some of them go at it alone. Some of them decide to pair up. However they see fit, and then they go to the program, and then they start to compete against one another. So then they have to pitch to a panel of judges that is made up of faculty and staff at their school. And then the faculty and staff decides who the top 2 are. And then those top 2 get to pitch at a special here in San Antonio and across the country, there is a program that was started by the Kauffman Foundation called 1 Million Cups. So we do a special edition of 1 Million Cups, where we have these youth entrepreneurs come up and pitch what they've been working on for the past 6 weeks.
Wow.
And then they get feedback from people in attendance. business owners, professors at local university that teach entrepreneurship, potential partners, collaborators, even some investors.
Yeah, I was going to say those are in the audience too.
Yeah. One of the successes that we've had in the past was these two young ladies had this concept of, kind of how we have these subscription-based models where you get clothing and so on. So they did one with jewelry, right? So one of the audience members actually did jewelry, right?
Wow.
So he invested in their concept and donated the first round of inventory.
Wow.
Yeah. So this program really helps them kind of broaden their horizon post high school, right?
Okay.
So what happens if they decide to go through one of those traditional routes? Well, if you happen to pick up a skill set or a talent in any one of those routes, well, take what you've learned in the program, apply it to that new skill set, and increase the chances of success. In your adult life. So the youth entrepreneurship program really helps these individuals or these students, put more ammunition into their well, maybe that's not the best phrase, but it just gives them more to work with.
Right. More awareness of themselves, even.
Exactly. So that way, when they're out there, they know what the basic steps are, right?
Correct.
And then we also offer our services, and if any of them are very serious about moving forward with this, after the program, they can meet with us on a one-on-one basis, and we can continue to work on whatever they started to during the program.
That's a benefit.
Yeah. And then we also did a kind of a 3-day boot camp version of this for at-risk teenage girls. We partnered up with a local organization that heard about us. They reached out and they asked if we can have a very lean version of this, and we said, yeah.
Okay.
Let's do it. Why not?
No
right?
doubt, yes.
If we're going to potentially improve the life of one of your participants, then
we're in.
We're in. If I can work it, then we're gonna try to do it, right?
Okay.
So those are just two of the different programs that we have over at the Women's Business Center. Okay. Now for the loan programs, everyone wants money, right? Yeah. And our target market, if you would, have a number of challenges. And we understand this, right? And sometimes there are things that are out of our hands, right? And we can't do very much about it. But if we can, we will, right? Okay. And because of our mission and our reputation in our footprint, a lot of more mature or traditional lenders want to work with us, right? Okay. To continue to provide access to capital, right? And we partner up and create incentives or programs for individuals that meet certain requirements, right? So just to give you an example, here in the city of San Antonio, we partnered with the city to provide a 0% interest loan, right? You can't beat it.
True.
So all you have to do is meet the requirements, right? Meet LIV Fund's underwriting guidelines along with some of the cities. Yeah. And the city is basically going to pay their interest.
Hear that, City of San Antonio? That's for you. That is for you.
That is for them. Okay. And these type of programs really provide more of an incentive for these individuals, right? Correct. Because the city saw the work that we were doing, how it directly impacted the city's economic development, and said, hey, we see the work that you're doing. Business owners contribute to the city. They pay their taxes. They're creating jobs. Yes. We want to help out too. Right. But we're not lenders. We're not a bank. So how about if we allocate some of these funds to some of your applicants, right? Okay. Another example would be, let's see, there's a financial institution, USAA. So we had partnered up with them in the past to provide funding for veterans, right? If you were a veteran and you had your DD-214, veterans know what that is, then it would potentially bring down your interest rate. Okay, so these programs are called buy-down programs.
Okay.
So traditional lenders, because these people don't meet their underwriting requirements, they say we still want to help out because we know that you're going to get them to a point where then they come back to us in a better position.
Yeah.
So we want to allocate funds to help buy down their interest to a lower interest rate.
Okay.
So that way, it's a little more manageable for these individuals, right? So those are some of the benefits in the programs that we have that can help entrepreneurs that are going into different industries, that come from different backgrounds.
Okay.
If there's a program for it, when they go through the program, a loan officer or a loan processor will say, hey, you know what, there's a chance that you may be able to take advantage of this program. And they will try to see what the best deal is that they can package for you.
Excellent.
Yes, yeah.
Excellent. Wow. Well, Lift Fund has obviously quite a bit to offer to the community in which it resides, and that's
Yes.
good to know. So, Carlos, we want to thank you for joining us today on Let's Talk. Is there anything you want to just say as a summary for individuals, our audience that are out there?
Yeah, so, well, first of all, thank you for having me again. This was a great experience, and I hope I didn't ramble too much. But I just get very passionate, and with that passion, I get a little, I get pulled in so many different directions because there's so many things I want to talk about, and just like today, we have to be able to squeeze everything into a certain time frame.
Yeah.
But thank you for giving me this opportunity. And if there was anything that I would like the listener to really get out of this is that, entrepreneurship is not easy. It's difficult. Okay. But because it's difficult doesn't mean that you have to do it on your own. Okay. There are a number of resources that are available to them to help them navigate this difficult terrain, right? Whether it's looking for funding, there are programs that are potentially available to them. There are different sources of funding. Really do their homework and find out which one best fits my concept. Whether it's, a grant, that's a whole other story. Typically for nonprofits, but there are some available. There is traditional lenders for people who have actual numbers and, rule of thumb, 2 years in business and can prove that they can support that loan.
Okay.
There is small business lending through organizations like Lift Fund that provide access to capital for those small business owners that don't meet the underwriting guidelines. Great opportunity. It's a step in the right direction, right?
Yeah.
Start here. This isn't the end all, right? Just use this as a stepping stone because as many of these listeners may have already gone through, is you're going to get a lot of not right nows, right? So this is a viable option, and be flexible. Investment, if you're going to go the investment route, I know I didn't have enough time to talk about this, but really identify how much you're willing to give up in the business.
Shark Tank,
right? And another challenge that I've seen a lot of clients have that are going through this channel or going through this route is justifying the price tag, right? Startup companies want to say, I will give you 10% for $500,000. Well, how did you get to that $500,000?
what's the value of the
What
company?
is the value of the company?
Valuation.
Tell me what you have done to this point that justifies that dollar amount that you placed on that percentage, right?
Correct.
So that's challenging too. So having all of that already in your books and ready to present to an investor. If you decide to go through crowdfunding, having a very appealing, sexy campaign, right? Because
sad to say,
yeah, because it's basically having a lot of investors with small dollar amounts, right?
Yes.
You and I can be investors. We can log into any crowdfunding site and say, I'm going to give you $1, I'm going to give you $10, and I'm going to give you $5. Small dollars from a number of investors adds up, right? But if it's not sexy, if it's not appealing, you're probably not going to get anything, right? And then And then, investment through family and friends, right? Still have a way to pay them back if that's what they want, or whatever it is that they're willing or want to get out of the business. So understanding what channels are available, which one really best suits the industry and the business and your concept, and more importantly, which ones do you qualify for, and having a range. And then utilizing any of the resources that are available through the Small Business Administration. They can go to sba.gov, type in a zip code or their city, and they can see what resources are available near them, right? And this is nationwide. And then pair that education up with the funding side of things, and put yourself in a very good position. Correct. And if you're one of those individuals that goes through this process and identifies that this isn't for me, hey, that's not a loss.
No. Because
you're not on the corner asking for money. It's okay to work.
True.
Okay.
Very true.
And I guess the last thing would be, don't quit your job. Do not quit your job, because the business has not proven itself yet, right?
Sound advice. Sound
Yes.
advice. Well, once again, Carlos, thank you so much for joining us on Let's Talk.
Thank you for having me.